Hello everybody, it's Jammer1031 and this is actually my first official video on this channel. It's going to be a tutorial on how to record from your Dazzle and also my rendering settings, as I've gotten questions about those from my previous video making stuff. So this is going to be, for those of you wondering about how I get my quality, and it's actually, if I do say so myself, it's pretty good quality from a Dazzle. I mean, all things considered, it's a Dazzle. So what you're going to need, Pinnacle Studio 12, which comes with the Dazzle, or whatever version of Pinnacle Studio, but I use 12, so that came with the Dazzle. And I only use it for capturing. You can use it for editing and rendering, but I don't use it for those because it's not really that good for that stuff. So Audacity, which is a free program for recording your audio, your voice, and then Sony Vegas, and I use Sony Vegas 9. But yeah, so this is what I use for rendering and editing and rendering. So as you can see here, we've got Mario Kart 64 plugged in and just running here. It's probably going to be a little bit laggy because of my screen cap, but yeah, so here, video input composite, that's pretty obvious. If you have S-Video, then you know to click S-Video, but I don't have S-Video. These settings here, brightness is 1 dot above the center line. Contrast is right on the center line. We've got sharpness, which is 3 dots above the bottom. Hue is at the center line, and color saturation is about 5 dots above the center line. So you can mess around with those, but those are what I have. Make sure when you're capturing, you have audio capture on. You don't want to have it off. For my settings, capture format, let's start with capture source, I guess. Of course, make sure you have your Dazzle selected for both audio and video. NTSC if you live in North America, pretty much, and PAL if you're in Europe or whatever, although I know some Europeans use NTSC anyway. 16:9 aspect ratio, and I like to have capture preview on so I can see what's going on, especially if there's any lag or anything like that. So capture format, we've got for the presets, we've got MPEG 1/2. I don't recommend AVI because those create some pretty huge files and really clunky, to be honest, at least from my experience. I use a custom quality here, so you'll see high, medium, low quality. I go custom. And what we do here is we have MPEG 2. You can do 1 or 2, but do 2. Resolution of 720 by 480. Data rate of 9,000 kilobits per second, although that can be a personal preference, but if you want quality like mine, do 9,000. And audio settings are at default. Everything else pretty much is, yeah, all of this is just default settings for what's already on there, at least with me. Checked on these two, the full resolution, hardware acceleration, main VGA monitor, no external, background rendering, alright, all that good stuff. So okay, so now you're ready to capture. Now you may be wondering, how do you do live commentary? And I specifically got that question, so I'm going to answer that. How you do live commentary. So when I go to do live commentary, I have Audacity and Pinnacle open simultaneously. And what I'll do is I'll press Start Capture on Pinnacle. Then I'll come up with this and, press Start Capture. And then I can hear the audio of the game. So the audio of the game cuts out when you press Start Capture. There's a little bit of lag between pressing Capture and actually starting. So then that lag allows me to go and wait until the audio comes back. And when I hear the audio come back, I press Record on Audacity so I can start talking. And it usually lines up pretty nicely with the recording of the video. So, and then it's just, doing the video from there. And then when you're done, of course, you'll press Stop Capture and you'll press Stop here. So I'll do a little example here of how I do that. So we'll just do video 1, and we'll press Record. So you'll see that I'm talking here. You'll see that this is all coming up as I'm talking right now. And I'll show the final version of this video at the end so you guys can just see the final result with audio. Alright, so then I press stop. I usually press stop capture first and then the audio, and it's a little bit faster, but because I'm doing a tutorial, it's just a little bit off. So once you're done capturing, pressing stop capture is all you need to do in Pinnacle. We're pretty much done in Pinnacle now. So at this point, in Audacity, don't be done. go to File and Export. So you'll go here, Export Audio. We'll just do MK for Mario Kart. So then we'll export it, and because it's 12 seconds, it takes all of 2 seconds to export. So now we're done with Audacity at this point. So going to Sony Vegas now. Just checking my time there. Alright, so Sony Vegas, here we are. This is where the magic happens, because, well, that's all I have to say. So we have video 1 here. So we can go here and plop it right into there. It's 14 seconds long. My audio is 12 seconds long, so it didn't really match up in that sense. But so here I like to push this thing here, this line thingy that moves. I like to push that to the start, and then basically it'll turn yellow when you push the audio up against it. And then if you need to zoom in super close and determine where you need to line up the audio, although the way I do it, usually I don't have to worry about lining up the audio. It just works out pretty nicely based on how I do it. So we've got everything here. Let's just pretend that everything's lined up nicely, and that it's not really weird looking. Actually, we can just shrink the video because it's not really important. So yeah, that all lines up nicely, perfectly great. If you need to up the volume of your voice or lower the volume of the game, or both, with my microphone anymore, I don't have to up the volume or down the volume of anything, so it works out nicely, but do it as necessary. So we should be able to hear you above the game. The game should not overpower your voice. Alright, so at this point, now we can add effects, and I only add one effect, so go here to the video, the blue one, track effects here, and you can also find it under tools. So go to Sony Sharpen, and what I do is it's reset to none, but I just manually push it up to 350. Actually, that looks kind of bad with Mario Kart. Usually other games it looks better, looks a lot less pixelated. If you do too much sharpen, it will look pixelated like it does right now. Maybe that's just because, well, the final rendered version will usually not look pixelated like that. The sharpen just makes it a little bit more clear and clean looking. So at this point now we go to tools, and there's the track effects if you wanted to go to tools for that, but it doesn't matter. Either way, so we're going to go to video event pan/crop. Make sure you have the video selected so that you can select that option. So now the only part that we're cropping is the very edges of the black that we're seeing here, not the big bars, but the little lighter, you can tell the difference there. So I try to get it as close to the edge as possible, but I don't want to cut off any of the video, so I sometimes will just leave a slight black line on the side, just because I don't want to cut off anything. It's better to have cut off less than to cut off more, obviously. So at this point we've got pretty much maxed out for that. So now what you want to do if you want to stretch the video out is you go to track motion and stretch it up, or whatever. I have it so when I stretch it up, I have X prevented, so like I can move this up and down, but I can't move it left and right, which is good because I've got my left and right set up already, so I can just do my up and down, and that's, you hit prevent scaling on the X. So that is pretty much it as far as what I do for editing. Yeah, that's really not that much work goes into it. But then we go to Project Properties, go to Field Order, and do Non-Progressive Scan. Now usually, I believe it's this one right here is the one I think it was this one, but I do custom anyway. So we do Field Order, Non-Progressive Scan. We got width 720, height 480, frame rate 29,970, NTSC of course. All this should be default. We got pixel format as 8-bit. That's whatever. I leave that at that. Full resolution rendering quality is best. Make sure you have that at best if you want the highest quality for your video. Deinterlace method is going to be none. and that's pretty much everything else. Everything else here in these tabs is going to be default. Don't mess with those, really. So at this point, we're ready to render. So we're going to go to File, Render As. Alright, so now you're going to see we come up with this screen, and I have a default down here called YouTube. Alright, so it's a Windows Media Video V11, and the preset that I used was 3 megabytes per second video, and then I just edited it with the custom option here. So go to custom, audio is fine, make sure you have include audio checked, CBR, media 9, image size, do custom 720 by 480, do the 1.000 where it's a square, frame rate 30, video smoothness 100. I mean, if you wanted to decrease the quality, I guess you could do that. Not sure why you would. Alright, so then you have here the things that here should say audio this, video this, progressive. It's good to see progressive in there. That'll be higher quality. Yeah, that's about it. All this stuff is default. Press OK. And why is there Korean letters there? Or some kind of whatever language. Anyway, so YouTube is what I called it, just so simplicity. So call this video tutorial, just because that makes sense. Whoops. Everything else, I do stretch video to fill output frame size. Do not letterbox. I have that checked. Because that's kind of important, I guess, to me, not have that letterbox. So rendering, this is a very short video, 10 seconds, 10-11 seconds, very short. So it's going to take, not that long to render. But a 15-minute video can go about 30 to 40 minutes on render time. Just depends on a few little things. So a 15-minute video will take about 15 minutes to record, about 35 minutes to render, and about 20 minutes to upload. So that's about well over an hour. So yeah, an hour, 10 hour, 15 minutes that will go into making a 15-minute video. Of course, it depends. If you have shorter video, then it won't take as much time, obviously. So that's that. I will include that little video that I rendered at the end of this, just so you can see the final result, even though it doesn't really showcase anything that I normally do. So yeah, I am Jammer1031. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it helps you guys out, especially Ratchetness, the guy who asked the questions. And thank you for asking the questions. I always appreciate those, because I'm always willing to answer those for you guys. So if you have any more questions or you're confused, feel free to ask them in the comments, and I can try to answer them to the best of my ability. So yeah, I may do a HD tutorial later on, although that's a lot simpler than this one. But for now, this is good enough. I am Jammer1031. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time. You'll see that this is all coming up as I'm talking right now, and I'll show the final version of this video at the end so you guys can just see the final result with audio.